Welcome to the Explainer. So if you've ever felt like your high-stakes exam prep is just, one giant chaotic cram session, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking that chaos and transforming it into a systematic engine of success. We're going to break down a highly structured blueprint that's totally designed to maximize your study efficiency, eliminate those frustrating gaps in your knowledge, and ultimately boost your scores through a proven, repeatable loop. Okay, let's dive into this. Are you putting in the hours, grinding through pages of work, but somehow still making completely silly mistakes? We have all been there, and it is incredibly frustrating, right? You put in the time, you feel the burnout creeping in, and yet those repetitive blunders just keep showing up on your practice tests to totally ruin your confidence. Well, the cure for those frustrating study dilemmas actually lies within the authentic, handwritten blueprint we're decoding today. It's simply titled The Preparation and Exam Strategy Method. Now, it might look like just a few simple bullet points, but trust me, this document outlines a strict 5-part progression, and we're going to break down every single component of this method together. Here is a rapid-fire preview of the 5-step method we'll be exploring. 1. Revise. 2. Topicals. 3. Timed yearlies. 4. Analyze. And 5. Repeat. All right, let's look at step 1 and step 2. Build your core foundation. So what does step 1, revise your topic, actually require? The text points us to systematically looking back over 3 very specific types of material. You need to review your concise summaries, your core definitions, and your textbook formulas. That trio makes up your core revision material. Systematically grounding yourself in these basics is literally the exact defense mechanism you need to avoid those silly mistakes right out of the gate. Once you've got that baseline established, you jump immediately to step 2, do targeted topicals. This means isolating the specific topics that are personally challenging for you. The source explicitly mentions notoriously tough subjects like electrolysis or mole calculations as examples. You take these challenging beasts and you just start grinding topical past papers solely focused on them. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate purpose of this foundational phase. As the quote from our source says, you do this targeted grind to build conceptual confidence. You aren't just blindly memorizing facts to scrape by, you're actively taking your weakest links and forging them into absolute strengths until you genuinely understand the mechanics behind the concepts. Moving right along to step 3, simulate authentic exam pressure. Now, the strategy dictates a very specific quantitative minimum requirement for this phase, 5. It says you need to complete at least 5 yearly past papers. Doing just 1 or 2? Simply not enough data. You absolutely need 5 complete past papers to truly condition yourself and measure your readiness. But hey, it isn't just about completing those 5 papers. It's about completing them with strict exam timing. And that brings us to the number 1. The source notes that you usually have exactly 1 hour for this type of exam. The pressure has to be totally authentic, which means that the 1-hour timer is completely non-negotiable. And what exactly are you doing within that single hour? You are facing down 40 multiple choice questions. Just think about that intense pace for a second. 1 hour to process, analyze, and answer 40 multiple choice questions. This forces you to operate at peak efficiency and proves whether or not your conceptual confidence can actually withstand a high-stress environment. During these intense, timed yearlies, the strategy asks you to monitor your performance by asking one critical question. Do your choices and answers physically make sense? When you simulate that authentic pressure, it is incredibly easy to panic and just guess. This step ensures you're actively evaluating the underlying logic of your answers, even while the clock is ticking down. Which brings us to step 4. Analyze your mistakes actively. The blueprint lays out a highly systematic process here for your mistake analysis. First up, you need to review your mark scripts carefully. Then, you recheck your answers specifically to spot exactly where you lost marks. It isn't enough to just see that you got something wrong, you've got to dig into the script and confront those errors head-on. Notice the final instruction in that analysis phase: explicitly look out for patterns in your errors. The overarching goal, as the text directly states, is to avoid repetitive blunders. Honestly, if you aren't actively hunting for the underlying patterns causing your mistakes, you're essentially doomed to repeat them over and over and over. Finding that pattern is your real game changer. So, the crucial point is, step 5, the master study loop. Step 5 instructs you to do more yearlies, but it comes with a major game-changing condition.
You must keep your specific list of past mistakes actively in mind while you do them. You take all that incredible pattern recognition from step 4 and you carry it right forward with you into your very next set of practice papers.
Keeping that specific list actively in mind is exactly how you break bad habits. This active mindfulness during your practice is the psychological key to the entire method. You aren't just passively answering questions anymore. You are proactively hunting down your own personal bad habits and shutting them off before they can cost you marks. But what happens if you find yourself slipping backwards? Well, the method gives us an ultimate, non-negotiable rule. If you find yourself making too many mistakes in one specific topic, you must halt and repeat the loop all the way from step 1. You stop what you're doing, you go right back to your concise summaries and textbook formulas, and you rebuild that foundation from scratch. It's a beautifully rigorous cycle of continuous mastery that practically guarantees results if you just stick to it. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Looking at your own syllabus right now, which challenging topic are you going to tackle first? Apply this 5-step loop, start with those core definitions, and turn that weakness into an absolute strength. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Now go out there and start your own preparation loop today.